Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth, and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. And welcome back to Big Mouth. Hello, and you can keep this and any other conversation I ignite going over on my Twitter at Movies TV Mad. Yes, people are starting to follow me and find me on Twitter and saying, hello, Big Mouth. And I love it. I love it, love it, love it. You can also continue the conversation over on my Vero at Big Mouth 1. And the extension to this channel is my Instagram, Big Mouth. A very warm welcome to Friday's edition of the dceu Daily. And today we're going to try and expose this Variety article that came out the day before Thanksgiving. I forgot to wish you Americans happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving for yesterday, my fellow Americans. Do you know what? Thanksgiving, I just don't get it. I'm sorry, I have to say this. It's like 2 Christmas days. It seems pointless, right? But you're going to say, yeah, but it's different because we give thanks. You know, you can actually give thanks on Christmas Day. You know, the rest of us, especially us Europeans, actually give thanks on Christmas Day as well. But anyway, you Americans just want an excuse to drink more beer, have a day off, and you know what? I don't blame you. So, right, let's re-look at this Variety article that was talking about the future DC plans for future DC movies, and also how they said the release of the Snyder Cut was a pipe dream. The problem is they really didn't have anything to back it up with. An insider, who a lot of people have said probably is the janitor, or probably there is no insider, that's what's worse about this article. Now, I decided to talk about this and expose this and reread this, and it might be a bit boring to a few people, but I thought I'd do this because I saw them do another article where they literally talk about the Russo brothers and their achievements with the MCU like they were David Lean directing A Passage to India. That's what I thought. You know, when people talk about David Lean was a great director, you know, he did A Passage to India, one of the great movies. You guys, you younger people have probably never heard of it. Great director. When you're talking about the Russos in that term, but at the end of the header on Twitter, it says sponsored. But I wonder who sponsored it. Was it Disney? Is this part of Disney trying to is this part of the Oscars push? Probably, right? So Variety simply can't be trusted. They're literally either on the studio's corner or they're just a bunch of hacks. Now, in the past, we've always thought Variety are very good. They've got a great reputation. They killed their reputation in 2 foul swoops. So let's go over this again. As I say, I know this is really boring. I know R.T. Snyder Cut told us not to read it. But I think it's important that we do and that we expose it and we quash it, at least in our own minds. I mean, for me, when I first read this, I got really excited about the future plans and then got frustrated about what they said about the Snyder Cut being a pipe dream. But when I look at it, and when you look that this was written by Brett Lang and Justin Kroll, I think Justin Kroll is the editor of Variety. I think he is anyway. I'm not sure. He's quite a big deal there. Brett Lang, I mean, who is pretty respectable, I'm thinking that Brett Lang actually did this and Justin Kroll basically just signed off on it. So this is very interesting because this is not great for either journalists, really, because they are highly revered journalists. And the whole thing surprised me because they seem to be just regurgitating rumours. So let's look at what they have to say. DC Films appears to have hit its stride, rebounding from the commercial failure of Justice League and the critical drubbing of Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice with a few well-timed box office successes. Aquaman and Joker both generated over $1 billion at the global box office, becoming the first DC productions to reach those lofty figures since Christopher Nolan wrapped up his Batman trilogy. With 2012's The Dark Knight Rises, the studio also scored with last spring's Shazam, a cheeky spin on the Spandex Engineer, and has high hopes for upcoming releases such as Wonder Woman 84 and Birds of Prey. They are on the upswing, and Sean Robbins, chief analyst at boxoffice.com, they had a rocky period, but they're starting to find their footing right. This guy at boxoffice.com, he's not really telling us. They brought an expert on to pretty much tell us what we already know, that box office-wise, they had a rocky patch, and now they're doing a lot better. So we know that. DC films may have achieved more consistency when it comes to reviews and box office performance, but there are still hurdles to overcome. Namely, a company and its parent studio, Warner Brothers, have yet to figure out what to do with iconic characters Superman and Batman. So already, they've yet to figure out what to do with Batman, but Batman has a director, and he's got a trilogy in mind. The Batman's upcoming, some brilliant casting already, but they say, but Warner Brothers have yet to figure out what to do with iconic characters Superman and Batman. Superman, they can back that up, but Batman, already, right, this just seems like, it doesn't make, it's like the person or the people writing this are drunk. So, where are we? The studio is further along, well, then they kind of go back on it, further along when it comes to Bruce Wayne's alter ego, having recast a role most recently played by Ben Affleck with the younger and edgier Robert Pattinson. The former Twilight heartthrob has moved beyond his tween idol days, appearing in indies for the Safdie brothers, David Cronenberg and Robert Eggers. He will don the cape and cowl in the Batman, which we already know, which will be directed by Matt Reeves, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and will feature villains such as the Riddler, Paul Dano, Penguin, and we all know that. So already, there's a lot of stuff we already know. There have been chatter that the entire film would unfold in Arkham Asylum, the high-security prison known to comic book fans for housing super criminals. That is not the case, according to insiders. Right, hang on. I don't want to lose my place because I'm going to start talking. Right, again. Any old idiot can tell you. You can go to a homeless person, a vagrant on the street, right, and you can say, is the whole of the Batman going to be focused in Arkham Asylum? I'm going to say, of course not. I could have told you that. When the film was first announced and we heard it was all kind of loads of criminals, we thought maybe that was the idea. But we now know that's simply not the case with the way they're casting it. So that is obvious. Again, they've asked an insider, or have they anyway? Only a handful of scenes will be set at Arkham. If the movie works, Warner Brothers and DC believe that any of these villains could headline their own spin-off movies. Again, that's a theory. They don't know that. And again, any old idiot could tell you that. And again, is this what they're trying to do? I don't know. If they are trying to do that, hey, that's brilliant. But again, any old idiot can come up with a prediction like that. Maybe it'll be come true, maybe it won't. Key cast members in both the Batman and Birds of Prey have contract options to appear in sequels and standalone films. Right, this is a given. Ask any lawyer, right? When these actors sign up, they sign up for sequels and prequels and everything else. So again, this isn't breaking news. And at the time, I got excited. But now analysing it, this and talking to other people, other members of Release the Snyder Cut, talking to other producers, talking to people from other studios, not Warner Brothers, I've kind of realised that this really is just a piece of fiction, this article. But anyway, the studio has less clarity on what to do with Superman, a character who has now been rebooted 2 different times in the last 13 years. By the way, 13 years isn't that long. Once with Brandon Routh's Superman Returns and later with Henry Cavill Man of Steel, without landing on a winning strategy. Superman has also appeared frequently on television in shows such as Lois and Clark and Smallville, which has led to some fears at Warner Bros. That the market could be oversaturated with hot takes on all things Clark Kent. Right, come on. Let's talk about this, right? If you're Warner Brothers, right, if you're a professional studio, if you're a business, would you look at your top-tier character and fear he's been oversaturated? Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, went on for 4 years in 1993, 2, 4, 5, 6, till 1997, I think. So that's a very long time ago. Smallville went off the air in 2011. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 8 years. It's been off the air for 8 years. So talking about being oversaturated with Superman. And by the way, I have to refer to Disney. If they owned Superman, they would oversaturate him. And they would do him in a great way. But anyway, right, what they're saying here is absolute balls, absolute nonsense. There's no way professional business people will be worried of oversaturating a high legacy character like Superman. Why would they be? No business would be thinking, oh, we had Lois and Clark 200 years ago. We had Superman. We had Smallville, right? It's been gone for 8 years. They've already, right, started doing a Superman TV show, which is right. But I also if they've made the decision just to have the TV show, not movies, it's ridiculous. But maybe there's a grander plan here for Superman. I believe that. So again, they don't actually know anything. There's no facts. They're just regurgitating stuff they've heard about in the past. So we go on. To help find a way to make Superman relevant to modern audiences, Studios Brass have been polling lots of high-profile talent. There have been discussions with J.J. Abrams, whose company, Bad Robot, recently signed a massive first-look deal with the studio. Right, okay, let's leave it there for a minute. We all have kind of been putting two and two together and getting four because J.J. Abrams and Bad Robot have just joined Warner Brothers. We're all saying he's going to do Superman. He's going to do Superman. But we don't know. And the other day, the guy actually said we haven't had those discussions yet. So obviously, yet, that means you are going to have those discussions. So again, they are just going off of if, buts and maybes. They don't actually know anything. It's hilarious. And there were meeting. This is the funniest one. There was a meeting with Michael B. Jordan earlier this year with the Creed star pitching Warner's on a vision for the character. However, Jordan isn't ready to commit to taking on a project since filming doesn't seem likely to happen for several years and has full dance card of projects. Insiders think that a new Superman film is unlikely to hit screens before 2023, given that there's no script and no director attached. Right, let's talk about this Michael B. Jordan thing. This Michael B. Jordan thing came out that evening, that day, when the Hollywood Reporter reported that they were taking a break with Superman and that Michael B. Jordan would be next. The truth of the matter is, there was a meeting. We all know about it. This is not a big deal. This is past tense. Let's get this clear. This is past tense. I saw Matt Jarvo, whatever his name is, showing a picture of Michael B. Jordan and talking about it. There's no point. I know it's relevant news because Michael B. Jordan was in the Variety article. They were talking about him being Superman, but he's not. It's not going to happen. He had a pitch. He pitched something. Warner Brothers said no. It's over. Again, this is something that is out there. And even they don't say he's actually going to do it. They said he won't sign up for it yet because it's so many kind of years in the making. The truth is, again, they don't know. For all they know, a Superman movie could be greenlit from J.J. Abrams at the beginning of the new year. They could start filming and it could be ready for 2022. They just don't know their plans. Again, they're taking stuff that's out there and kind of stirring it up into a very cold, mushy, not very tasty broth. Right. Internally, insiders are quick to credit Walter Hamada, the longtime New Lines executive who was brought on board in 2018 as president of DC Films, with helping to plot a new, more sustainable course for the DC cinematic universe. He's credited with having a strong sense of story, with keeping a firm eye on the bottom line. Again, this is stuff we already know. We know that Walter produces stuff or he has so far since he's joined DC, on a budget, and it's making more of a profit. It really helped with Shazam as well. Reining in budget so productions don't go off the rails. We already know this. It also helps that he's closely allied with Warner Brothers film chief Toby Emmerich. Now, this is the one. This is the killer blow. I think that really, really hurt the Snyder Cut movement. Toby Emmerich, with both men having worked together on past New Line hits such as It and The Conjuring. Insiders believe under the former regime of top DC film executives John Berg and Jeff Johns and DC Entertainment head Diana Nelson, there were too many decision makers, which I agree with, but again, that's obvious, involved, leading to the lack of a clear vision. They also maintain that Warner Brothers erred by initially rushing movies in the hopes of making release dates. This is all common knowledge. That had been snapped up before scripts were even fully in place. Emmerich has made writing the DC ship a key priority since taking control of the studio in 2017. A note to the very wise, Toby Emmerich had everything to do. He was in cahoots with Kevin Sugihara with those decisions to rush out movies before scripts were even ready. Toby Emmerich is part of the problem. So again, they're talking about they're talking about stuff that's kind of out there. But what's worse about this, they're trying to align Walter Hamada and Toby Emmerich as two geniuses pulling this off. No, this is all down to Walter Hamada. Toby Emmerich is not the good guy here, but they align him as the good guy. Either Warner Brothers have put them up to this to try and kind of tell us, Toby's not so bad, he's done this, he's done that, or they've decided to do this. But again, this is nothing we don't know, right? So, their initial mistake was that they tried to do too much too fast, said Robbins. This is funny because, of course, Toby Emmerich was part of that. They were trying to copy the Marvel model, but again, we know this, but that took time and years, building up characters. You can't start with a big ensemble movie, you need to earn that. They didn't actually start with a big ensemble movie, they actually started with Man of Steel, an individual origin story. Do you actually know anything? Or were you snorting too much powder and smoking too much joints? I don't know. Under Hamada and Emmerich, the studio has become more comfortable with backing comic book movies for adults. Joker became the first DC release to nab an R rating, but it won't be the last. Birds of Prey is... Again, we already know this. Insiders predict that James Gunn's upcoming Suicide Squad sequel will also be R-rated. We already know that. In the case of Birds of Prey, the film won't be in the pitch black grim vein of the Joker. Insiders describe the film has a more humorous, spirited girl gang adventure, albeit not one for younger children. A series of recent reshoots dramatically improved test screening results. And the studio is confident Birds of Prey will be a hit when it opens in February. Do you know all you have to do to say what they just said? Or they didn't even need to talk to an insider. All they needed to do was watch the actual trailers, and you can tell it's not going to be a dark, gritty a thing like the Joker. It's going to be more fun. It's going to be more action-packed. All you have to do is see the trailer. Again, they're not giving you or us anything that we don't know. Analysts believe the studio has hit upon a smart strategy. 20th Century Fox had backed R-rated comic book movies such as Deadpool and Logan. But after being bought by Disney, which prefers its heroes to be cleaner and less prone to F-bombs, it's unclear if it will continue to back those type of projects. The answer is no. There's a huge appetite for R-rated superhero movies, and if Marvel isn't going to step up, that presents an opening for DC to tap into that audience, said Jeff Bock, an analyst with exhibitor relations. Again, these analysts, I mean, you could have asked me. It's obvious, isn't it, that doing R-rated movies is a good move. It's not a genius move. It's pretty much an obvious move. Again, an obvious move that any company like Warner Brothers would do it, because Warner Brothers deal with adult kids, all those kind of things, right? Where Disney is just meant for the family. So that's the difference. So again, they're not telling us anything that we don't know, that we couldn't figure out ourselves. Right. Beyond embracing the darker undercurrents of the DC canon, the company is also revisiting characters they believe were ill-served by privileged big screen adventures. Green Lantern Corps remains a priority despite the fact that 2011's Green Lantern was a high-profile commercial disaster. Johns is delivering a script at the end of the year. The project may be presented to Abrams and Bad Robot to see if the company would be interested in producing the picture. However, Greg Berlanti, another major talent on the Warner lot, is partnering with Johns on a Green Lantern television show. There's speculation that that relationship could lead to his involvement in a feature film. Now, this is interesting, of course, because Greg Berlanti was one of the people who was involved with the Green Lantern movie, and so was Jeff Johns. And they're both involved with this TV series, and they're alluding that maybe Greg Berlanti may be involved with the next film. Basically, none of us knew what was going on with the Green Lantern film. He's obviously writing it. He's obviously delivering it. Again, it's not breaking news that he has to deliver his script. I didn't know it was still a thing, but obviously it is. But again, that's not breaking news. The Green Lantern TV show on HBO Max, it's out there in the ethos. Again, this is not breaking news. Warner and DC also still have faith in Ezra Miller Smart's interpretation of The Flash and are proceeding with development on a standalone film based on the character. DC has tapped its director Andy Muschietti to oversee the movie and has enlisted Christina Hodson Bumblebee to write the screenplay. Hodgson will finish that assignment that before moving on to write a screenplay for Batgirl. Production on The Flash won't be able to start until Miller finishes up on the next Fantastic Beasts film, which means that cameras are likely to won't roll until 2021. Again, this is just guesstimations. They're literally telling you stuff you already know. And the stuff about Ezra Miller not being able to start work till a certain day with Fantastic Beasts, again, that's just guesswork. That's what we're saying. That's what people on the streets are saying. Nobody knows when he's going to start. But it is looking like to me, it will start some point next year. Maybe late next year, maybe early next year. We shall see. But even if they started filming in September, that film could come out in 2021, late 2021. So they're just talking about stuff that's already there. We know Andy Muschietti's doing The Flash. One thing they got wrong, that Warner Bros. Are still very supportive of the smart kind of Alec Flash. Basically like we saw in the Justice League movie. No, they're not. Ezra Miller would have walked if that was the case. No. Ezra Miller wanted a darker Flash movie, and that's what he's getting. Maybe it's Flashpoint. Who knows? We will find out. DC is looking to capitalise on the box office success of Aquaman. It is currently looking for director for The Trench, a spin-off about a group of vicious undersea creatures who played a supporting role in Aquaman. For the next film centred on Jason Momoa's King of Atlantis, DC once again tapped James Wan and is hoping to commence shooting in early 2021. Right, again, this is stuff we already know. We heard about The Trench from James Wan himself. Again, hoping. You know, they don't have any absolutes. They don't have any inside line. And again, this is surprising that Justin Crowe and this other geezer, right, have took to do this pointless article. It literally, to me, just looks like, right, let's just put lots of facts and figures that are already out there together, and we'll make it look like a big, exclusive that nobody knows about. DC's future won't unfold entirely on the big screen. HBO Max, Warner Media, upcoming streaming service, is currently looking for DC properties that could inspire films to premiere on its platform. It hopes to make DC adventures that have slightly lower budgets, requiring them to rely on upcoming actors and not establishing stars with a goal of keeping production costs under $65 million. Again, this is stuff that Grace Randolph could have told you. That's how obvious this all is. Again, nothing you didn't know. The launch of HBO Max had inspired some hopes that Warner Bros. Might allow Zack Snyder to release the director's cut of Justice League, leading to a social media campaign dubbed Release the Snyder Cut. Snyder directed an earlier version of the ill-fated Super Team movie and had planned to do some reshoots. However, that's wrong. And his daughter died. He was not able to complete production and was replaced by Joss Whedon, who injected a more light-hearted tone into the final film, you think? Logistically, however, there's a little appetite at the studio for spending the millions of dollars it would require to finish visual effects and editing work on Snyder's version, particularly as Justice League was a commercial disaster. There are currently no plans to release a Snyder version either in theatres or on HBO Max. That's a pipe dream, said one knowledgeable insider. There's no way it's ever happening. So, again, we don't know who this knowledgeable or unknowledgeable insider is. Again, I don't think there is an insider. That's what they just put in there as dialogue. So let's look. Let me tell you, when I first read this, and then because that's what happens. You read it and you think, this is an exclusive. Oh my God, future project. Oh no, Snyder Cut. But let's look at this final paragraph, and I think you should all do this. I know RT Snyder Cut said not to read it. You should. Because we need to get this right in our own minds. So we're not attacking the studio like I did in my big Superman I erupted about Superman yesterday, didn't I? Yesterday's DCEU Daily. Check it out on my home page. So let's look back at this. So, leading to a social media campaign. Forget that. Right. This is where it all falls down. Because this is where they got their facts wrong. Terribly wrong. However, there's little appetite at the studio for spending the millions of dollars it would require to finish visual effects and editing work. And here's the problem. The film doesn't need visual effects. The film doesn't need editing. It's ready. He's done it. He's done it in his own studio. He's cut the film together and he's got it ready. All they have to do is email him. He can email the little thing, what the film's on or whatever it's on, right? And they can get it ready. It's ready to go. It may need cleaning up here and there. But basically, this film is ready to go. But still, John Aaron Garza and Davey Pina are still talking about the film costing $40 to $60 million to complete. Davey Pina, the screen junkie, the film junkie, or whatever he calls himself. Again, I don't mind these guys. I like them. I follow them on Twitter. Now, these people are saying that insiders have told them this. You are lying, because you know what the great thing is? When you as the members of the public and the consumers don't know what's going on, any old person can come on and say, well, I've spoken to people. They said it would cost this much to finish. Yes, because you're asking people what it would take to finish it, but what you're not telling them, it's pretty much finished already. So what do I think about this when I see fans, supporters of Release the Snyder Cut, taking advantage of this situation, even though Zack Snyder, the filmmaker himself, said it is done, it's ready, it's up to Warner Brothers now. That's what he said at SnyderCon, right? So why are these people regurgitating the same things? And this is how the Variety article falls down, because it is completed. You don't have to edit anything or shoot stuff or, complete VFX. It is done. It is ready. Stop telling lies. It is ready to go. And this thing where they keep on saying that now they're kind of echoing what Screen Rant said on that Sunday when we hit 100,000 tweets when Release the Snyder Cut was trending and it was a big success, right? They're basically saying that Warner Brothers have no current plans to release the Snyder Cut. Do you know what that means? At this second, at this moment, in this hour, in this minute, they have no plans to release the Snyder Cut. Anyone can say that. Anyone can say any of this in this article, and I didn't see it then, and I apologise to my subscribers. I thought it was this big piece. It was a big deal, but literally, Justin Kroll put together a bunch of stuff that's already out there in the ethos and made it this big, massive, tell-all article when it wasn't. They hashtag Release the Snyder Cut because all it is a bunch of clickbait. Now, you're going to say you're just a Release the Snyder Cut Snyder stan who can't accept the truth that it's over. Maybe you're right. But what I've just done here, reading it out, proves it. Anyone who follows entertainment news knows that all this information they put in here is out there. It's out there already. This is not big news. They don't know anything. Warner Brothers didn't tell them to do this. I thought maybe this was a hit piece. All this is a bunch of triggering clickbait to get some attention. And it's unethical and it's immoral and it's not journalism. Because what we have done with Release the Snyder Cut is we've actually come to a place where the mainstream audience know that we're here. We are winning. We are doing well. And I believe that Warner Brothers will release the Snyder Cut in the new year. And any news, you will see it first. Sorry about that, but we have to go through that. We have to make it clear to everyone that this isn't news, that we're still winning. We're still going to get the cut. Zack Snyder has told people on Vero not to lose hope. We are winning. We are getting there. We are nearly there. This article is just another bump in the road. It's not true, people. Just ignore them. It is not news. Right. Now, I hate to stay on the negative road, but it is very disappointing to me when we get Snyder fans and people part of the Release the Snyder Cut movement saying that Patty Jenkins and James Wan threw Zack Snyder under the bus. How? Zack Snyder employed James Wan to direct Aquaman, and he employed Patty Jenkins to make the Wonder Woman movie. In fact, Patty Jenkins enlisted Zack to help her with the action and fighting choreography so it could line up with the other DCEU movies, so it could have the same look. No one has thrown Zack under the bus, especially not James Wan and Patty Jenkins. And you know what? I won't hear anything of the kind. So I want to finish off. I had a little rant about Superman yesterday, and I was thinking about Tim Burton's Superman movie, and everyone says it would have been so bad. You see the pictures of him in the cape, in the costume. And I'm thinking about this because when I saw John, is it Schneps, who passed away, he used to do Collider, didn't he? Great guy. He did a great documentary about the truth about Superman Lives, which was the movie starring Nicolas Cage as Clark Kent as Superman, and Tim Burton was going to direct this movie. I think it would have been an awesome movie in the end, even though the costume on Nick Cage looks terrible. When they were testing it, they were just tests. They would have got it right. I think Tim Burton would have made an awesome movie. Would it have been a bit darker? Well, we know how people kind of respond to dark Superman movies, right? But who cares? It would have been awesome. I tell you what, I really wanted to see that. I really did. And I think, if that was part of movie history, part of Superman movie history, I would have been so proud of it today, talking about it all the time, like we talk about Man of Steel. Not everything has to be super popular for us to enjoy it. So I think Tim Burton could still make an awesome Superman film. It's not going to happen. But as I say, these plans are happening. What Variety said, a lot of the stuff they said is true because it's already out there. But a lot of the stuff is just rumours and stuff. They haven't been speaking to insiders. They're just telling you what you already know. And they have no idea what Warner Brothers are thinking about the Snyder Cut. But if I'm a business and I see 100,000 people tweeting about something, if I see on a daily basis 10 to 20,000 people hashtagging release the Snyder Cut, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get my thinking cap on, right? And I'm going to say, do you know what? It's time. Let's do this. And they are going to do it. Keep focused. Keep hashtagging. Release the Snyder Cut.